Chapter 11 Ravana. The news of Prince Rama's single-handed victory over a 14,000-strong Rakshasa army spread like wildfire, quickly reaching the ear of the demon king of Lanka. Ravana was the eldest son of the Brahmin sage Vishrava and the Rakshasa princess Kaikasi. Sage Vishrava was famous for his mastery of tapas, an austere self-discipline practice through meditation. With his first wife, Ilavida, Vishrava sired a son who eventually came to be known as Kubera, the Lord of Wealth and ruler of Lanka. Seeing this, the Rakshasa Somali urged his daughter Kaikasi to seek Vishrava as her husband, promising her that their children would rival Kubera. Kaikasi found Vishrava and informed him of her father's wish for her to wed him. Vishrava agreed to the beautiful maiden's request, but he warned her that due to her Rakshasic nature, their first 3 children would be demonic. Only the last child would inherit his sagely disposition. Kaikasi's first child was Vishravana, who would later come to be known as Ravana. Her second son was Kumbhakana, her third the demoness Suparnika, and the last child a son named Vibhishana. As Vishrava predicted, the fourth child, Vibhishana, was Brahmanic in nature. Ravana, the eldest child, was ambitious and quickly gained strength and power. He was taught the scriptures by his father and was extremely knowledgeable in the Vedas and Puranas. Ravana even impressed Lord Shiva with his dedication and received an invincible sword as a gift. He performed an exceptionally severe penance to gain a boon from Lord Brahma. The gods could grant any wish short of immortality. Ravana instead asked for invincibility in battle against gods, demons, heavenly spirits, serpents, and wild beasts. Ravana's list went on, but curiously he failed to mention humans, thinking the species insignificant. Over time, Ravana waged many battles and conquered many lands, even forcing his half-brother Kubera to cede the kingship of Lanka to him. But Ravana's ambitions knew no boundaries. He was consumed by lust, greed, and wrath, eventually threatening the domain of the gods themselves and defeating Lord Indra himself in battle. The gods approached Lord Vishnu for assistance. Ravana's boon made him near undefeatable, but Lord Vishnu proposed a plan. Chapter 12 Sinister Schemes. By the time Suparnika returned to Lanka, Ravana was fully aware of the feats of Prince Rama. His sister's appearance infuriated him. An attack on his family was an insult to him. But Ravana had held off on retaliating against Prince Rama. His boon of invincibility did not protect him against humans, and this human had single-handedly destroyed an army of 14,000 Rakshasas, a feat previously unheard of. Suparnika chastised her brother. "You have grown soft in your palace, with your many comforts and pleasures. In times past, you would not have hesitated to destroy an enemy that dared challenge your authority." Ravana listened to Suparnika's version of her encounter with the 2 princes, Ram and Lakshmana. But what captured his attention was her description of Rama's wife, Sita. Suparnika noticed this and continued her account of Sita's unmatched beauty, and the more Ravana heard, the more he desired Sita for his own. Suparnika proposed the capturing of Sita for Ravana. Rama's love for Sita was unmatched, and the loss of her would throw him into despair and thus weaken him for Ravana's attack. Ravana liked the idea, and he traveled to meet a demon that had previously faced the prince. Marich had fought Prince Rama years ago when the prince was still a teenager, and he had barely escaped with his life. Unlike other demons with more limited ability, Marich had the power to shapeshift into any creature he desired. Ravana relayed his plan to Marich. The demon would take on the form of a wondrous animal to attract the attention and desire of the princess, and then lured the princes away so that Ravana could take Sita by force. Marich was outraged at the plan. "Forget her, Ravana. Go back to your palace. Enjoy the pleasures of your many wives and mistresses. To incur the wrath of Prince Rama is to court death itself." But Ravana's mind was set, and his request of assistance from Marich turned into a threatening command. "I am the king of Lanka, and all that I desire shall be mine. Even death itself fears me." Marich reluctantly accepted, and the demons set off to execute their sinister plan. Chapter 13. The Seduction of Sita. One day, while walking in the forest, Sita spotted an extraordinary deer. It was unlike anything she had ever seen before. Sita was overcome with a desire to possess the beautiful creature. "Ram, please capture that beautiful deer for me. It would be wonderful to take it back to Ayodhya when we return." Ram was confused when he saw the deer. It had golden fur. Its spots glistened like diamonds. Its antlers were magnificent, the most perfect creature he had ever seen. Lakshmana was immediately suspicious. Such beauty is unnatural. This must be some Rakshasa trick. But Sita was entranced by the wonder of the creature and remained adamant that the deer must be hers. Ram, the dutiful husband, would do anything to bring joy to Sita. He calmed Lakshmana. "I will capture the deer. If it is indeed a devious Raksha, then I will slay it. You will remain here with Sita until I return." Ram set off in pursuit of the deer, and in response the deer ran faster and deeper into the forest, luring Ram further and further away from Lakshmana and Sita. As Ram continued his pursuit, his suspicion grew. The creature was much too fast, much too elusive. After much time in pursuit, Ram eventually released an arrow in the direction of the deer. The arrow struck true, forcing the creature to transform back to its true form, the Rakshasa Marich. With his dying breath, the demon called out with the voice of Ram, "Lakshman, Sita!" Ram stood over the demon's body and wondered why he had called out Lakshman and Sita's name before he died. A sense of dread overcame Ram, and he turned and hurried back to their home. Back at the forest dwelling, Sita and Lakshman heard the anguished voice of Ram calling out their names. Sita was terrified and turned to Lakshman. "Ram is in trouble. You need to go help him." Lakshman was not concerned. "This is some Rakshasa trick. I was instructed by Ram to remain here and protect you. Ram is more than capable of handling any danger by himself." But now, Sita was overcome by feelings of fear, guilt, and anger. She had asked Ram to capture the deer for her, and now her beloved might be in great danger. And all of these emotions now turned to fury, directed at Lakshman. Chapter 14. The Abduction of Sita. Sita, hearing the anguished voice of Ram calling out from the forest, turned to Lakshman and insisted he go out to help his brother. When Lakshman, suspecting a Rakshasa trick, remained unmoved, Sita was furious. "You will not help your brother when he is in need? I have seen the way you look at me. Secretly, you desire Ram to be killed so that you can have me for yourself." Lakshman was shocked and hurt by the accusation. He looked upon his older brother Ram as his father, and as such, Sita as his mother. But Sita continued her tirade against him. Blinded by fear and desperation, she would say or do anything to get Lakshman to go out and bring her husband back safely. Incensed, Lakshman finally agreed to go find Ram. But before he left, he drew a protective circle around the cottage. Lakshman then darted off into the forest to find his brother. Sometime after he left, Sita was visited by an elderly Brahmin. Brahmins passing by in the forest would occasionally stop by and ask for food. Sita was nervous, being alone. She was usually accompanied by either Ram or Lakshman. However, refusing a Brahman's request for food would not only be inhospitable, but also lead to great misfortune on the ones denying the request. The trio was close to the end of their exile. Her husband was in possible danger. The last thing that Sita wanted now was to offend the Brahmin and incur his wrath. She went inside to prepare some food and brought it out to the Brahmin. The Brahmin, sitting on a rock just outside the cottage, insisted she bring the meal to him. "I am weak from hunger, child. Bring the food to me." Sita's mind was a storm, worry for Ram, guilt over the harsh words she had directed at Lakshman. Without thinking, she stepped over the line of protection that Lakshmana drew. A monstrous laugh shook the forest as the demon king of Lanka dropped his disguise and ensnared the beautiful princess. Drunk with power and glee over his triumph, Ravana thundered, "You are mine, beautiful one, now and forever." Sita's screams echoed out and attracted the attention of a bird perched on a nearby tree. But this was no ordinary bird. This was Jatayu, the king of vultures. Chapter 15. Lanka. Overjoyed at having gained his prize, Ravana dragged the Princess Sita to his Vamana, a flying vehicle. The Vamana took off into the air, and Sita looked down in terror as the ground moved further and further away. But Sita's screams attracted the attention of a noble creature, Jatayu, the king of vultures. Jatayu flew up to the craft and saw the terrified Sita and the malevolent Ravana. Instinctively, the noble bird attacked the demon king, cutting into the demon's flesh with his razor-sharp talons. But the bird was no match for Ravana. The king of Lanka cut off his wing and sent the bird hurtling down towards the forest floor, many miles below. Tears streamed down Sita's face as Jatayu fell, and her home disappeared into the distance. She desperately thought of how she might send signs to Ram and Lakshman of her dire predicament. Sita's heart sank even further as the sight of land then disappeared, and the craft soared over the ocean. After some time, Ravana's craft arrived at the city of Lanka. The demon king's demeanor turned much more pleasant and charming as he proudly showed off his kingdom to the princess. Situated on a golden island in the midst of the ocean, the city shimmered with palaces adorned with precious gems, walls inlaid with gold, and towering spires that reached towards the heavens. The streets were lined with lush gardens filled with exotic flowers. Massive gates, guarded by fierce Rakshasas, led to the heart of the city, where Ravana's opulent palace loomed, a fortress of dazzling splendor. Silver staircases wound through halls of polished marble, and intricate carvings of divine beings and legendary battles decorated the walls. The city was alive with the sounds of drums and conch shells, the chants of sages, and the roars of demons preparing for war. Bridges of gold arched over flowing rivers, and chariots drawn by magical beasts glided through the air. Despite its beauty, Lanka held an air of foreboding. Beneath its enchanting facade lay a kingdom ruled by fear, ambition, and Ravana's unchallenged might. As the demon king's craft descended into his palace, and they stepped out into the marble courtyard, Ravana raised his arms and professed his love to the Princess Sita. "Princess, I watched you from afar, and have fallen madly in love with you. Marry me, and you will be queen of all that you see." Chapter 16. The Anguish of Ram. Ram was running back towards his forest home. His heart was beating much faster than it usually would. A sense of dread had overcome him. As he turned a bend in the path, his eyes widened in shock. "Lakshman, what are you doing here? I had asked you to remain with Sita." Lakshman related his argument with Sita after they had heard Ram's voice call out for help. "I assured Sita that this must be a Rakshasa trick, that you would be able to handle any danger on your own. But she had lost all sense, and even accused me of wanting you to perish. so that I can have her to myself." Ram chided his younger brother as he continued to run back to their cottage. "You let your emotions overcome your reason. My instructions were clear. You were to remain at home and protect Sita." Lakshman was upset, but he composed himself as he followed his brother. Ram's heart sank even further as he returned home and Sita was nowhere to be found. The ground indicated signs of a struggle. Ram and Lakshman spread out in search of Sita. Ram went from tree to tree calling out Sita's name. He hoped that she was merely out collecting food or flowers or playing a game with them. But deep within, he knew that something terrible had befallen his beloved. A retaliation for his destruction of the Rakshasa forces was inevitable, and now it appears that Sita may have paid the price. Ram and Lakshman continued to search for hours. Ram screamed out Sita's name until his voice was hoarse. His fear turned to rage as he screamed out threats to the mountains, demons, and gods to return his wife. Then, his rage turned to anguish as tears streamed down the prince's face. He resolved that he would not be able to live without Sita. "Go back to Ayodhya, Lakshman. Tell Bharat that he should continue his rule. Without Sita, all of life is meaningless. What worth is a kingdom without my wife at my side?" This time, it was Lakshman's turn to counsel his brother. "Ram, such despair does not become you. I accept my blame for my neglect of duty, but you are a warrior and a monarch. We must not abandon hope. We will find Sita." Ram calmed his emotions and steadied himself. Then, out of the corner of his eye, something in the forest caught his attention. Chapter 17. The Torment of Sita. Sita had observed as the Demon King proudly showed off his kingdom. She listened in disdain as Ravana declared his love for her and brazenly proposed marriage. "I am a married woman, King of Lanka, and my heart belongs to Ram alone. He is a warrior of unmatched strength, kind, compassionate, yet as fearless as a lion. My devotion is his alone. The gap between you and the Prince of Ayodhya is as vast as that between a stream and an ocean, iron and gold, a crow and an eagle. You, a mere jackal, dare to claim a lioness? Winning my affection is as impossible as grasping sunlight, or lifting a mountain with bare hands. You chase your own destruction like a fool walking into fire." Ravana was greatly insulted by Sita's words. His fury boiled over as he raised his fist. But then, he hesitated. There was a time when Ravana would have taken any woman he desired by force. But his past sinful actions had incurred curses upon him from both Lord Brahma and his own nephew, Nalakover. Now, if he forced himself on any woman against her will, his head would shatter into 100 pieces. Sita was unaware of this divine protection, but Ravana had other means to coerce his prey. First, he tried to tempt her. He showed Sita all the wonders of his kingdom that would be hers if she accepted him. "You will be my chief queen above all others. Any jewels, luxuries, or pleasures you desire will be yours. Maidens will serve you night and day. Lanka will bow before you." But Sita was unmoved by Ravana's seductions. She remained steadfast in her commitment to Dharma. Seeing his enticements fail, Ravana turned to malevolence. He cast Sita into a secluded grove, guarded by fearsome Rakshasas, demonesses who tormented her relentlessly. By day, they threatened to devour her. By night, they whispered of the comfort and safety she could have, if only she accepted Ravana. Yet, though weary and despairing, the princess of Mithila did not yield. She sat beneath the great Asoka tree, her thoughts consumed by Ram. With each passing day, her hope waned. How could her beloved ever find her across the vast ocean? But far away in the forest, Ram and Lakshman stumbled upon something that would bring them one step closer to finding her. Chapter 18. South. Ram and Lakshman stood over the mortally wounded Jatayu. With his dying breath, he related to the brothers the abduction of Sita by the demon king Ravana. "I tried to save her, my prince, but I am not as strong as I used to be in my youth. Ravana cut off my wing. As I fell to the ground, I saw the Ravana fly off to the south." With these final words, Jatayu's spirit left his body. Ram was deeply saddened. Jatayu was a dear friend to his father King Dasharath. But Ram's spirits were raised by the heroic action of the Vulture King. Now, he had three crucial pieces of information. 1. Sita was alive. 2. Her abductor was the demon king Ravana. And 3. The direction she was taken. The brothers performed the last rites for Jatayu and then continued their journey south. After some time on their travel, they were attacked by a Rakshasa named Kaband. Kaband was a grotesque creature. His head and thighs were sunken into his body. He had one eye on his chest and a ravenous mouth on his stomach. His arms were long and strong. After a fierce battle, the brothers cut off his arms, and Ram brought the creature down with an arrow. As the Rakshasa fell, he assumed his true form as a Gandharva, a heavenly musician. He related to the princes the curse he had endured as a result of his past misdeeds. "Thank you, Lord Ram, for freeing me of this monstrous form." Ram asked the Gandharva if he knew the location of Sita. "I do not, my lord, but I advise you to seek out Sugriv, the banished king of the Vanaras. Sugriv is wise and has traveled far and wide. He would be the best person to help you." Following the Gandharva's guidance, Ram and Lakshman journeyed south for months. As spring arrived, Ram gazed at the lotus-filled lakes, their beauty evoking memories of Sita. Though heartsore, he pressed on until they reached the mountains where Sugriv lived. The Monkey King spotted the two strangers approaching. He was suspicious. The strangers were dressed as Brahmins, but they were powerfully built and carried weapons. He turned to a figure in the shadows behind him. "Go and meet the two strangers. Find out if they are assassins sent by my brother." A mighty ape-like figure stepped forward, ready to fulfill his king's command. His name was Hanuman. Chapter 19. Hanuman. Ram and Lakshman watched as a powerful figure approached them. Although striking an imposing presence, there was a calmness about him. "Greetings, friends. What brings you to our humble abode?" "We seek the assistance of the Monkey King, Sugriv," replied Ram. Ram and Lakshman related the tale of Sita's abduction by the demon king Ravana and their quest to find her. Hearing this, Hanuman's eyes gleamed with wonder. "Ah, yes, Lord Ram. We have heard the legendary tale of the exiled prince of Ayodhya and his devoted wife and brother who chose to accompany him into the wilderness. The news of your heroic, single-handed victory over 14,000 Rakshasas have spread far and wide. Come with me. Sugriv will be pleased to meet you. Like you, he has also lost his wife. Perhaps you can be of assistance to each other." Ram was impressed with Sugriv's emissary. He had the look of a fierce warrior, but he was also eloquent in speech, every bit a fine statesman as any that Ram had met in his father's court. Unknown to the princes, Hanuman was no ordinary Vanara, forest dweller. He was the spiritual son of the wind god Vayu. When Hanuman was a child, he saw the sun and mistook it for a fruit. He leapt into the air to grab the orange globe and consume it. This brought him to the attention of Lord Indra himself. To protect the sun, Indra struck down the child with a bolt of lightning. The bolt struck his jaw, leading to the name Hanuman, which means one with a disfigured jaw. Indra's actions infuriated the wind god, and in retaliation, Vayu withdrew the air from the earth and heavens. To appease Vayu, the gods granted Hanuman various powers, including the ability to change size, incredible strength and speed, immunity from fire and water, health, and immortality. However, a mischievous youth with such power caused many problems with the sages, and as a result, they cast a spell which caused him to forget his power, until such time he was reminded of his true potential. Following Hanuman, Ram and Lakshmana arrived at Rishyamukh mountain, where Sugriv and his exiled followers resided. The Vanara king, wary at first, listened as Hanuman relayed Ram's plight. At last, the Monkey King spoke. "My brother, Vali, has driven me from my kingdom and taken my wife. If you help me reclaim my throne, I shall aid you in your quest to find Princess Sita." Chapter 20. The Monkey Kings. The princes Vali and Sugriv were brothers. Vali, the elder, was the spiritual son of Indra, the king of the gods, while Sugriv, the younger, was the spiritual son of Surya, the sun god. When their mortal father, Riksharaj, passed away, the throne of Kishkinda was rightfully inherited by Vali. Sugriv, loyal and humble, served under his brother's rule. Like his divine father, Vali was a mighty warrior, fearless, powerful, and relentless in battle. But he was also arrogant, never backing down from a challenge. He had also been blessed by Indra with a necklace that boosted his power in combat. One night, a demon named Mayavi arrived at the gates of Kishkinda, bellowing a challenge to Vali. The king immediately stepped forward to confront the demon, and Sugriv accompanied him, wary of an ambush. But when Mayavi saw both brothers advancing, he turned and fled, seeking refuge in a deep cave. Determined to end the threat of Mayavi once and for all, Vali pursued him into the cave, but ordered Sugriv to remain at the entrance, ensuring that Mayavi would not escape. Sugriv waited for days, his ears straining for any sign of his brother. Then he heard a terrible roar from within, followed by a stream of red gushing out of the cave's mouth. Sugriv heard the monstrous cries of Mayavi echo through the cavern. Heartbroken, believing his brother had been slain, and fearing that the demon would emerge and wreak havoc upon their kingdom, Sugriv sealed the cave entrance with a massive boulder. Upon returning to Kishkinda, he informed the elders and priests of what had transpired. After much persuasion by the elders, he agreed to take up the mantle of kingship. Days passed, and just as Sugriv was settling into his new role, a furious Vali stormed into the palace, his eyes ablaze with fury. The elder brother had not perished. He had slain the demon, but emerged only to find the entrance blocked. After struggling for days to free himself, he returned home to see his brother on the throne. Blinded by rage and betrayal, Vali refused to listen to Sugriv's explanations. Convinced that his brother had deliberately trapped him in the cave to usurp his throne, Vali attacked. With his enhanced strength, he beat Sugriv mercilessly and drove him out of the kingdom. But Vali's vengeance did not end there. He forcibly took Sugriv's wife, Ruma, for himself. Now, exiled and dishonored, Sugriv, accompanied by a few loyal subjects, including his chief advisor Hanuman, wandered the forests until they took refuge at Mount Rishyamukha, where Vali dared not follow due to a curse placed upon him. As Sugriv finished his tale, Ram listened intently. The internal politics of Kishkinda were of little concern to him, but one act of Vali filled him with rage. "I agree to help you, Sugriv. The throne of Kishkinda will be yours once more, and then you will help me find Sita." Thank you for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please subscribe. This will ensure that more people can find this resource. click the notification button so that you can be the first to know about new uploads. And please do comment below. I'll do my best to reply to any questions. Thank you.